a little bit.
We're all artists in our own way, and a certain type, I suppose. Now, is there anything you do to get out of writer's block, or not even writer's block? How about artist block? Like, you got any words of wisdom, or how you do it?
Well, as an artist, full-time artist, there's what you enjoy, what you like doing, listening to music, maybe break away, go ride your bike, throw some frisbee, or skateboarding. But as a general thing, I really don't believe in breaking away, or there's always something, read a book, go outside, take a cold shower, something. But for me, when I get into the studio, I know that I have to produce, I have to do work. It's pretty much a compulsion that once you get into the studio, it's what are you going to do, and I like to have different avenues to say, oh, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to continue doing that. And on that instance, it goes back to my work ethics and the work process. It's when I'm doing something, I'm not so much like wanting to finish a project. I always want to start a project. Every time, if I don't see a piece going developing, I go to another piece. I make another piece, and then another piece. So I'll have different workstations in my studio, one going on here, one going on the other one, just to have like different conversations on my pieces, different for them to actually just inform on each other. For them to like, for me working on this one, I discover something that I should build on the other piece. So it's something, it's a relationship of my work, of the body of work. And just like if I'm in that block, there's no way out. You have to continue working. It's something like you have to continue breathing. Because that is what you're supposed to be doing. You're a full-time artist, and that's all you're doing. I mean, that's my motto. Is like, go on, get to the work, and it's not something easy. Sometimes I have some days, I have a week, I've not done anything, and then that drives me crazy, and I always want to not be there, so I'll start something else. I'll start working on another material. I'll start, build another project, just to keep that conversations going. You just come to the studio and start working, start whittling on some piece of wood, you'll see something developing from that. For me, that's the real thing, when you don't have that inspiration, and then after a while, you get into the job, and oh yeah, this is good, I like this, and for the next few minutes, you'll struggle and then get into it. And I mean, it's magical for me. It's when I start, low motivation, low morale, and then all of a sudden, you're into it. You don't want to stop, and so that's the thing, If you don't start, you won't. It's just simple as that.
So, on another complete opposite end of that
Right.
spectrum, does it ever stop?
It never stops. It never stops. You get into your sleep. It gets to sometimes it's always like vivid again. You're into that world. Creating again. So sometimes I go. I work on a piece until to some point I'm like, okay, I'm tired. Let me get some rest. When you get to the sleep, you find all these images in your dream, in your thought process that kind of solve themselves in there. And then you wake up, be like, oh shit, I'm going back to the studio. I got it, And then I really like that kind of spontaneous kind of just waking up in the middle of the night to go finish a sketch that it was not coming through when you're on your conscious. Sometimes you have to probe your subconscious to know what's happening to the next step.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I noticed you've got one piece out there that I've touched on just because personally I dig it.
IDP.
IDP.
Yeah. So IDP is a internally displaced persons.
Okay.
So it's a term actually that back at home in Kenya, during the post-election violence, after those people killing each other, and a lot of people were displaced, from their own homes, and it was such a tragic time, when everybody was just like in distress. And once there's war in your own home, in your own village, this place you've been living for the rest of your lives pretty much, and you, because of your tribe, you don't belong. And so if you don't move, then there's gonna be your house gonna be set on fire, or something bad would happen pretty much. And so people were moving from their places to go to the government for shelter, and so the government had this land allocated, for people to come and, shelter there. And this place, what were called the, IDP camps, And so this is a phenomenon where, you're like pretty much a refugee in your camp. And so looking at that, with that piece, when I was working with it, it was that moment when I was just trying to ask those questions, and trying to be in that moment of, if you're a mother with your children moving, and then, they're pretty much at the moment of rest. They have sat on their luggage, and, the kids are, wanting attention to their mom, and, there's so much at that moment where, there's so much loss. And I pretty much had, my process of working with wood, I use the triangles to make spaces. When you're working with the chainsaw, you want to go against the grain, not along the grain. So I pretty much like working with triangles. And so creating these spaces, there's that allegory, with the space itself. If you have your heart in a space, or your head, and then there's a space in the head, it's just that symbolism of something that you've lost. And there's a lot that you've lost. Not alone that you've lost your own home and houses, you've lost your own identity, you've lost your own your own self, you've lost everything in your life, not just the materialistic. You've lost your spirit, you've lost your soul. And so, in your own country, going through this, it was, my own way of just highlighting on this. It's, it's pretty much like it's not like a rhetoric, but it's like a documenting that time for me. It's pretty much important as an artist to, highlight on these things that, we human beings do, and it's not right.
I think we can all attest to that. Tell me some more. I know you got one called Fury that catches a lot of eyes.
Fury, that piece, a very controversial piece, if I would say. A lot of people would be like, "Oh man, what's in your mind? Why would you make Jesus a woman? Why would you do that? Can you explain to me this?" But it's totally, it's on the same vein. What inspired me is a queen in Africa. Her name is Queen Zinga. And the relationship between Christianity and African traditions and cultures is also similar. And the modes and forms of punishment, for what human beings have always been doing, they're all like varied but the same thing. And Queen Zinga was a queen that pretty much ruled over Central and South Africa. And this was during the reign of the Belgians, and the Dutch were down there in South Africa. But Queen Zinga was commanding the whole space in Africa then. She was like she called all the shots. But within all that, almost like 40, 50 years, in her reign, she had like traders in her own, court, in her own, what should I say, the government sort of thing. And this guy's collaborated with the colonialists, to sell her out and to overthrow her rule, her kingdom. And so including her brothers and cousins and everybody that really like collaborated with these colonialist Belgians and sold her out, and she was pretty much hanged, and not hanged but crucified by the Belgians, and it with collaboration with his brothers and cousins, and she was laid for the people to see, and so this is like a commentary on a very historic moment in the times in Africa. But when you look at it, it's how that image itself, she's the way I portray her is, she's not shameful on that cross. She's proud of what she did. She's proud of just having to sacrifice her own dignity because of what she actually achieved in her time as a ruler in Africa. And so it's you can take it whichever angle. Sometimes I just like people just talking about it and saying whatever they interpret it with. Some people have been very offended with it. Some people are really like wanting that to be part of in their church. And so a lot of the question is like, what if Jesus was a woman, or what if God is a woman anyway? So I mean, I'd like anybody to run with that idea and think of what they're gonna think, because it's there, and it's a woman was being on the cross. It's not like something different, and there goes equality.
Have you got any shows coming up? And I mean, let's see. You got something in August, from what I hear. A lot of Lexington does, right?
Yes, in August, in the fall, I'm gonna be having a show at the Arts Place. It's a duo show, me and my friend Travis Rydell, and we've got the same kind of vibe together. And Arts Place thought that we should put up a show together, and this is happening now, and I'm really excited for this. And it's gonna be really, really a good show, because my work and Travis, kind of feed on each other. And he also does, stone, wood. He does bone. Really cool stuff he does. So I'm really excited about this collaboration or duo show.
Man, thank you for your time. For
You're welcome. Thank you so much for being here and doing this.
Yeah, thanks for opening my mind a little bit, man.
Thank you. You're most welcome.